us, that one day we have to be accountable for our actions and our deeds. If this is done, I can assure you, you will look around, you will not find any trace of any social crime. Thank you very much.
If drinking is the main cause, why are we encouraging by opening pubs?
Well, I can tell you that alcohol probably causes 50% of my work, and at the moment in the society in which we live, we have an alcohol-tolerant society, and at the moment we seem to have a group of people that live in our community that don't necessarily consume alcohol with the tolerance that they should, and it causes us all sorts of problems. So either that culture has got to change, and that section of our society that misuses alcohol will have to change their habits, or society will have to change. We'll have to make pubs as unacceptable as smoking is becoming, because it does cause a lot of problems. We've seen I draw a parallel between alcohol and smoking, because smoking has caused a lot of harm in the community. It's caused a lot of illness. It's caused a lot of expense in terms of the National Health Service having to treat people, and alcohol is doing the same. So we either have to change the views of those that consume alcohol, or we'll have to deal with the alcohol sales themselves. Now, we've got various ways of combating the sales of alcohol, and we heard from David earlier about some of the schemes that he's got in Thames Valley with dealing with the licensing trade. And I come from the Metropolitan Police in Hounslow, and we have similar schemes. We work with the licensees, and the majority of licensees are law-abiding, and they want their customers to consume responsibly. And we have various schemes, including training door staff, so the door staff don't allow people into the public houses that are drunk or that look likely to cause problems. And in fact, it's against the law for a licensee to sell alcohol to someone who's already drunk, and that's another problem that the police have to deal with. But again, coming back to one of the previous speakers, and they were telling us about our own personal responsibility of drawing wrongdoing to attention. And it's the same if we're in public houses and that we see people are drinking and can't hold their drink, then we should be bringing it to the attention of the staff in the licensed premises, so they should stop serving them alcohol. But it is a very, very tough question for us to deal with in the climate that we're living in at the moment.
Local government.
Thank you. Well, the government, to some extent, already requires religious education to be taught in schools. Predominantly, other than in non-Christian faith schools, it is expected to be some form of Christian education. I'm going to give you a personal view, so this isn't the view of the council. As a personal view, I think whether it's religion or a sort of set of values which do give people a regard for humanity, do give people a regard for respecting others, do give people a framework to live by themselves, I think that should be taught in schools. That's not necessarily any particular faith, but I think all faiths have that sort of framework. And I think that should be an element of education, whether that's formal education or, as one of our speakers earlier said, part of family education as well. So I think the simple answer is yes, if religion is interpreted in its broadest sense.
I would like to say that I feel that the religious education, while it is absolutely necessary for people to have it, it should also be given in the proper context and in a proper way. By that I mean that the true image of a religion should be portrayed in that education. And for that purpose, either the textbooks should be planned in such a way that they portray the right picture of the views of that religion, or the best could be that this religious education should be done by the religious communities themselves, so that they can teach their children and other children if they want to have the education. So not only in the schools, but also by the community themselves. I can give you the example of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, which is the host of the functions today. They have their own Sunday school where in various places the boys and the girls, they assemble, and their teachers, they teach them about the religious values of Islam. They teach them how to study the Quran, what are the meanings, and more emphasis is given on Islamic moral teachings. So I think in the same way, if religious communities, they arrange in their own way the education of their member of the congregation, it will be something very, very positive. True teaching will be given to them, and it is also the responsibility of those Muslim communities. And the emphasis in school education should be simply on the facts and the moral teachings which are common to all religions, that should be imparted there without going into any controversial matters.
This is an increasing problem and potentially links back to the question we had previously about alcohol, because a number of people who attack our hospital staff are under the influence of alcohol when they do so. I can speak for the sort of work that we're doing in Slough, in Wexham Park Hospital, where we have we have two, in fact, beat officers who are dedicated to the hospital with police community support officers, so that they actually have the sole responsibility for patrolling the hospital, for dealing with crimes and disorder that happen within the hospital boundaries. I think that both that presence and that physical visibility of those officers and those community support officers has had quite a significant effect in both preventing crime from happening in the first place and dealing with it when it does happen. And I think also, as I alluded to earlier, this is all part of our neighbourhood policing work. And one of the things that we're asking those officers to do is actually work with hospital staff to identify what the issues are and then try and problem solve out any potential for problems. So we're working quite hard there. I think we're having some success, but it's undoubtedly a problem. It's a good question, because I think historically our criminal justice system has precluded the involvement of the witness. We have the witnesses and the victims, and actually they're not often treated very well, and they haven't necessarily had a voice in the process. But I think probably over the last couple of years that has changed quite considerably. We've seen government-led initiatives, things like No Witness, No Justice and the Victims' Charter. These things are things that give witnesses and victims rights and a say in the criminal justice process. So when somebody goes to court, a victim is able to give to a police officer something called a victim personal statement, which is a statement about the impact of the crime on them. And in that way, that impact is able to be put in front of the court, and the court can take account of the victim's point of view and the impact that it's had on the victim. We also do something called restorative justice, which is where we get together the perpetrators of the crime and related people, the victim, the witnesses, other people affected, like often their parents, and we sit them down and we jointly in a conference we talk about what they've done, why they've done it, what the